Rejoice, fellow console players! A bunch of gun mods for BG3 were recently dropped into our mod manager. Now, I know the PC crowd has had access to a lot of these for years, but hey, better late than never for the console crowd. Now, a couple of these mods have been around for a little bit, but I'm still going to be covering them because I don't think anyone's actually covered them in a deep dive that I have seen anyway. But as always, if you just want the details without the backstory, you can jump right to these timestamps on screen and go to this timestamp for a cheeky little build featuring the shotgun mod. So, both of the mods we're discussing today were commissioned by none other than the one and only Morgana Evelyn. So, if you enjoy using them, go give her a like or some love. Hype, I think, is a thing now. I don't know how it works, but if you can do those, give that to her, I guess. The two specific mods we'll be looking at are Evelyn's Sweetheart, the tactical shotgun mod, created by Pommel Strike, and Evelyn's Monarch, the grenade launcher mod created by Skirby. That's what we'll be focusing on today's video. The videos for handguns and pistols is coming soon after, and the one for rifles will be coming after that one. Again, if you enjoy using these mods, give these mod makers a like. I don't know how to do that on console because I know there's a like feature on where it says on the mod manager, but I don't know how to access it on console. I don't know if you can. But if you know how to, or if you know of any other way to give them a support, please do so. All right, so I grouped the shotgun and the grenade launcher together because out of all the firearm mods available to us console players, these two completely ignore character progression. They are just as wonderfully overpowered in Act 1 as they are in Act 3. The grenade launcher makes rare, very rare, and legendary variants available to you right when you first pick them up on the tutorial chest on the Nautiloid. However, the shotgun is only available in its legendary variant on the Nautiloid. You can gain access to our very rare version and a rare version, balanced version, I believe it's called, from Damon, but I like the legendary version. Um, the fact that you can only gain access to the legendary version in the tutorial chest makes the shotgun quite unique. It has a few other traits that makes it unique, and we'll be discussing those later. But for now, let's kick things off with Evelyn's Monarch, the grenade launcher mod. Editing old person here, just because I forgot to mention it. If you are installing this mod mid-game and you want access to these weapons immediately, if you are in Act 2, the only way you can gain access to them in Act 2 is by using the Summon Tutorial mod, Summon Tutorial Chest mod that you can find within the mod manager. This will summon the tutorial chest to you, and then you can gain access to all the weapons within the tutorial chest at the beginning of the game. If you want to stick with the concept of how Morgana Evelyn envisioned that you would gain access to these weapons, you will have to wait until Act 3 and steal them from Sorcerer Sundries. You have to steal them because when Morgana Evelyn commissioned these items, she asked the price to be 696,969 gold, or something like that. Something ridiculous with a lots of 69 in it. Nice. Um, to basically make you have to steal it rather than be able to actually afford it via purchasing from Sorcerer Sundries. So yeah, couple of ways to get it if you are putting this mod mid-game. To find the mod in the mod manager, simply type Evelyn's into the search function. On the PS5, press L3, type it into the search field, and hit triangle. Just make sure to include the apostrophe and the S, so Evelyn's, rather than Evelyn, otherwise no results will actually come up. Once you get the results, you will find a bunch of mods. I believe 10 at least from memory on the will come up, all that have Evelyn's on it. I believe all of these mods have been commissioned by Evelyn Morgana herself. I haven't used all of them, just the gun mods, so I can't verify that, but I am 100% sure all of the gun mods that have Evelyn's on them have been commissioned by her. Simply because the creators of the mods themselves actually state this in the description on the left hand side of the screen, or it says down the bottom, commissioned by Evelyn Morgana. Now, the grenade launcher is actually a reskinned light crossbow, meaning that all character classes are proficient in it and are able to use it. So, the rare variant does 1d4 plus 4 force damage plus an extra 4d8 fire damage, fire being the default element that it has once you first equip it. This is done in an area of effect. The rare variant also gives you the ability to change your ammo type to a variety of elemental damage, as well as creating darkness, a wet surface, and the ability for transposition. For this variant, the control ammo like ice and poison, which gives a cloud kill like effect, are by far the most useful. Moving on up to the very rare variant, you're doing 1d12 plus 5 force damage and 4d8 fire damage. On top of switching ammo types, you also gain the rapid fire ability. This lets you fire 6 area of effect shots in a single attack. So yes, if you concentrate all 6 of those AoE shots into a tight cluster, you can deal a massive 6d12 plus 30 plus an extra 24d8 fire damage. But it gets better. The legendary variant gives you a base damage of 4d8 plus 5 force plus 4d8 fire. It also unlocks the nuke ability, which has a massive radius, deals 10d8 plus 80 force damage. But remember, you still have rapid fire. And yes, you still get 6 shots. So, if you stack all 6 of those AoE shots on top of each other, you are dealing 24d8 plus 36 force plus 24d8 fire. It is so wonderfully and ridiculously broken. I absolutely love it. I mean, sure, you could equip this on a level 11 fighter and get 3 rapid shots in a single turn. If you're keeping track, that is a totally fantastically ridiculous 18 AoE attacks, totaling 72 D8 plus 108 force and 72 D8 fire. But look, even I think that's a bit of an overkill, and you've seen my builds. So, instead, give it to any full caster that only has a single attack, like actual weapon attack, and a single barrage of rapid fire is more than enough to win most encounters. Even if a couple of enemies somehow survive, the rest of your gun-toting maniacs can easily mop up. Speaking of which, that is a perfect segue into Evelyn's sweetheart, the tactical shotgun. As I mentioned, the shotgun is only available in its legendary variant from the tutorial chest on the Nautiloid. This, along with a few other quirks, makes the shotgun unique amongst all of the firearms that we can gain from mods currently available to us console peeps. So first, Unlike almost all other two-handed firearms, the shotgun is a reskinned heavy crossbow, making it a martial weapon. And if you aren't proficient with martial weapons or with the heavy crossbow, you won't actually even be able to use its default attack. Second, once equipped, the shotgun stays on your character at all times, even out of combat, while all other weapons, even the modded guns, sheathe themselves when combat ends. The tactical shotgun is the only weapon that has this ability to stay unsheathed even out of combat. Third, when you make a melee attack with the shotgun equipped, the animation stays as if you are still wielding the shotgun, so it looks like a punch. You still attack with your equipped melee weapon as per normal, but the animation is overridden by the shotgun. So, for example, if you are wielding a dagger in your melee hand, uh, the animation will look like you're punching, but if you drill down to the damage, it will be piercing damage. So just remember that when you are playing through the game. Also, that if you are wielding a piercing weapon, that also benefits from the ability down below, which makes this weapon amazing. So let's talk about shotgun's damage and abilities. As a legendary weapon, it confers the standard +3 weapon enchantment bonus to hit and for damage. It deals 1d10 piercing damage plus your dex modifier plus something else, we'll talk about that soon, plus that +3 weapon enchantment above. Marksmanship. This gives another +1 to ranged attacks. Heavy hitter. This dazes your target on a hit for 2 turns. Impact loads. Adds your strength modifier, which I was hinting about earlier, to the damage. So that is now 1d10 plus your dex mod plus your strength mod plus the weapon enchantment bonus. Flashlight. This makes the weapon emit light and grants see invisibility and dark vision up to a range of 24 meters. Point blank. When shooting an enemy in melee range, you don't suffer disadvantage. However, on my playtest, if you are threatened by a different enemy, so say you run into a crowd of enemies and there's one on the left of you and one on the right, you normally wouldn't get disadvantage because of point blank if you're firing at the one on the left, but because you are being threatened by the one on the right, you are still having disadvantage. So positioning and stealth is key to making this weapon work. Death Dealer. This is basically the Savage Attacker feat built right into the weapon. You roll damage twice and take the highest result. And Rifle Slug costs a bonus action to use, adds an extra 1d10 force damage to your attack. Now, the absolute best ability that this weapon confers is Close Quarters Range. This is a toggleable ability where enemies within 3 meters become vulnerable to piercing damage unless they are naturally resistant or immune to it. And just in case you didn't know, when a creature is vulnerable to a damage type, all damage of that type gets doubled. The dice themselves don't get doubled. The game will roll damage as per normal and then multiply whatever that result is by 2. Now, this mechanic was just too unique and fun to ignore. So, the shot buckler. We start with the following base stats: a strength of 8, dexterity of 17, constitution of 14, intelligence of 8, wisdom of 12, and charisma of 15. We are going 2 levels into fighter and 10 levels into rogue, specifically choosing the swashbuckler subclass. Why 2 levels of fighter? Well, we need the martial weapon proficiency to unlock the shotgun's base attack. Now, you can technically get away with just using the rogue's range sneak attack option, which seems to bypass the weapon's proficiency requirement entirely. But fighter, 2 levels of fighter also nets us action surge on top of medium armor proficiency and shield proficiency, so why the hell not? However, if you are building this for your Tab or your Dark Urge, and you care about skill proficiencies, go Rogue first. And if you really want reliable talent, do a Fighter 1 Swashbuckler 11 split. That version will also net you an extra 1d6 sneak attack damage on all the calculations following this, and you won't be able to use the shotgun very well anyway. You won't have rakish audacity on the Nautiloid because, well, you're level 1. But as soon as you crash onto the beach and level up, you take your first level in fighter, and then you can use the shotgun as you wish. From there, the progression is fairly simple. Get your dex as high as possible. At level 4, grab a +1 to dex and charisma. At level 8, pump dex by +2. And at level 10, take sharpshooter. Again, this is in terms of your rogue class. So that would be character level 6, 10, and 12, depending on how you split your fighter levels. Pro tip, if you get Auntie Ethel's boon, feel free to drop your starting charisma to 14, bump intelligence up to a 10, and hit a flat 20 dex by level 4. Make sure to drink strength elixirs to maximize impact load's bonus damage and stack as many crit improving items on your character as possible. If you're playing the Dark Urge, the Deathstalker mantle pairs beautifully here. You are almost guaranteed a kill every single turn, so which will constantly turn you invisible. And if you pair that with the Dark Justiciar helm from Act 2, that procs perfectly with that invisibility. Combine that with the Knife of the Undermountain King from Act 1 and Killer Sweetheart from Act 2, and you are pretty much set in regards to gear until you find upgrades in Act 3. Even then, most of these things will stay. You're just going to want to fill in the rest of your equipment slots with better gear. The gameplay loop is incredibly easy. Once you hit 3 levels of Rogue and unlock Swashbuckler, you can just walk right up to enemy within reach who has the lowest HP. Thanks to Swashbuckler's rakish audacity, you get sneak attack automatically. And because you are within 3 meters, your close quarters toggle makes the enemy completely vulnerable to piercing damage. Since sneak attack copies the damage type of your weapon, a normal attack in Act 3 looks like this: 1d10 plus 5 from your dex, plus 8 because you drank a strength elixir of Cloud Giant Strength, plus 3 from weapon enchantment, plus 10 from sharpshooter, and plus 5d6 from sneak attack, multiplied by 2 due to vulnerability. That's 54 to 114 damage on your sneak attack. And if you land a critical hit, it looks like this: 2d10 plus 5 plus 8 plus 3 plus 10 plus 10d6, then multiply that by 2 because of vulnerability. That is equal to 66 to 202 damage on your attack. In my own playthrough, I'm averaging at least over 100 damage on almost every single attack. And look, this is by no means a completely optimized definitive build. I was just having fun. There are plenty of other ways to break this weapon. A full fighter can get 6 attacks off if they action surge. A barbarian can use the classic eagle heart and stallion aspect to generate massive temp HP cushions while they're dashing across the battlefield, one-shotting everything. Basically, what I've shown you here is just the starting point. Go out there, make your own build, and have fun with it because these mods are exactly that. Amazingly fun.
Now scram! Before I get emotional!